Hello and welcome back. Once again, it is time for the golden age of DC Comics. 365 days where I take this beloved hardcover coffee table book given to me about 2 decades ago by one of my best friends. It has been surfing my coffee table ever since and a constant source of comic book shop style conversations, the kind we'd used to have on any given Wednesday. I use this book for its intended purpose. It's a 365 days book. I open up to today's date. I read the blurb. We look at some art from an Antediluvian age, and then we talk about comic books. And we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. The golden age of DC Comics runs between 1938 and 1955. The Silver Age between 1956 and 1970. The Bronze Age, I'm a Bronze Age baby, runs between 1970 and 1985, and the Copper Age begins about 1985. I get these standards from the glossary of this year's Overstreet Price Guide. I feel that is a fair standard and a good place to start having these conversations. And how are you doing today? I hope you're doing awesome. I hope you're clobbering your problems and not being clobbered by them. I hope you're not getting clobbered by con crud either. It took me almost over a week to shake that off. My goodness, that was a first. And con crud is real. Keep washing your hands, and you know what? Mask up if that makes you feel well. I mean, I didn't mask up, but also I'm not going to complain about it either. Con crud existed, before 2016 as well. Oh, what is he getting at? It could be about my escapism caveat, which I'm going to post over here at the end of the show. I used to put this at the beginning of the show, and I feel it's better served at the end now because I've said it enough times. It's about intellectual and ideological colonialism invading our safe spaces of fandom and being treated as savages if we don't comply with the New World Order. Oh gosh, I'm just full of it. I really am. So let's get to it. Let's open up to today's date, which is August the 25th. Oh, I love this stuff. It's the Justice Society of America, and they're being tampered with, or and first of all, get over it. I mean, it's not problematic. It's just old. All right? It's just antediluvian. I mean, that means before the flood, the Noah flood. I mean, what was the Noah flood? Probably the 21st century. And then just realizing that representation does matter. And, but let's read the blurb. Why don't we? It's August the 25th. This is story by Gardner Fox. Art by Joe Gallagher and Martin Nadell from All Star Comics number 30. September of 1946. Members of the Justice Society catch a snooze while hooked up to a dream recorder. But it's really a dastardly dream inducer. And behind that benevolent beard lurks the disguised arch-villain known as the Brainwave. This story got stuck in the limbo of the editorial offices for over a year, and some of it had to be drawn anew before it was published because the membership of the supergroup had changed in the interim. Yeah, let's look at the supergroup. It's the JSA, the Justice Society of America, the first superhero team and of DC characters as well, and which also gave birth to, later on, the JLA, the Justice League of America, aka the SuperFriends. And the Golden Age became Earth 2, and Earth 2 was a separate world in this multiverse, and then the multiverse collapsed into one Earth. So the JSA began to be something else, and it always changes and reverts back to form as best as it can. So currently, this is a new funny book. This is a DC funny book, and Crisis denotes a crossover between, usually in the Silver Age, it was a crossover between the the Golden Age JSA and the Silver Age Justice League of America. And they would do it at least once a year, and it would be like Crisis on Earth 2, Crisis on Earth 1, Crisis on Earth X, Crisis on Earth S, and etc. So Crisis, after 1985, began to denote a multiversal epic tale and crossover. So this is the huge reveal. I mean, the JSA are back in action. Look, we've got legacy characters and the older characters, which are part of the art that we saw today. We got Our Man, we've got Wildcat, we've got we had the second Dr. Midnight, but we also have Dr. Fate, we've got Green Lantern, Hawkman, Hawkwoman, and who else do we have? Well, we have Cyclone, who is from the Red Tornado family. We have Obsidian and Jade, who are Alan Scott Green Lantern's biological children and who have gifts of their own. We have Mr. Miracle, the second Mr. Miracle, Michael Holt. We have Nuklon, who is I think the nephew of Al Pratt the Atom. That's Al Rothstein. We got Jakeem Thunder in the background too. We've got, I don't even know, who is that up there? Oh my goodness, that's Wildcat 2, Yolanda Montez. So we have got 2 Wildcats. Ain't that cool? And yeah, and then we have the Hawks. Seriously. Yeah, this is the JSA. And this is a current comic book. This was released last month, and the recording of this is in August of 2022. And the JSA are still around, and they're still vibrant. I'm actually enjoying some older DC stuff of the Copper Age, and but in an unexpected medium. And there is currently a Netflix adaptation, a live-action adaptation of Neil Gaiman's The Sandman. Remember, The Sandman is based upon the golden age of DC Comics once again. Wesley Dobbs, the Sandman. He's not in this picture. He's not. But the Wesley Dobbs, the Sandman, was the golden age inspiration for Neil Gaiman's The Sandman, Morpheus, the King of Dreams of the Endless. This is an audiobook adaptation. It's like a radio play. There's music, there's a voice cast, there are sound effects, and this ties in almost verbatim to those late 80s comic books, which literally tied in to what was going on in the DC universe. Vertigo as an imprint happens in 1993. These early issues of Sandman happened in 1989 and 1990. And it predates Vertigo, because when they become Vertigo, they're kind of in their own little world. But before that, you had John Constantine Hellblazer, you had Swamp Thing, Animal Man, you had the Sandman, you had all of these mature titles on Baxter paper for a higher price that factored into DC continuity on a peripheral level. If you knew your DC, you were being rewarded every month because you knew how these comic books fit into the overstory. And Sandman totally fit into not only the DC continuity of its time, but into the Golden Age. Not only did Morpheus seek his helm, which is a gas mask with an exaggerated gas filter, such as the Sandman's original gas mask. It played very well with. It had the Justice League International of the time, Scott Free, the Miracle Man, Martian Manhunter. It had Arkham Asylum show up. It had John Constantine. And also we eventually get to people that will matter in its endgame, specifically Hector Hall and Lyta Hippolyta Trevor Hall, and they are the parents of Daniel, who ends up being the new Sandman. Lyta Trevor was the daughter of Golden Age Wonder Woman and her husband Steve Trevor, the military hero. Hector Sanders Hall was this child of Golden Age Hawkman and Hawkwoman, and they became heroes in their own right in the early '80s magazine. One of my favorites, Infinity Incorporated by Roy Thomas and Company, and that too was on Baxter paper. It was pre-Crisis, so it was set in Earth 2. They were the second generation of the Justice Society of America, the friends that we're the super friends that we're talking about today. Let's get back to that page. They had kids. They had they had mentees. They were mentors. They had nephews, and they had legacy. And Infinity Incorporated was a huge legacy book. It was about this second generation of the Justice Society, but they wanted their own identity, so they called themselves Infinity Incorporated. Lyta Hall was also known as Fury. She's an Amazon. Her mom is Wonder Woman. I mean, she was named after her grandmother, Hippolyta, the queen of the Amazons. So she is a full-on Amazon, trained in all of those military arts with super strength and all that good stuff. Hector Hall is the child of the Hawks. He adopts his superhero persona as the Silver Scarab, and together they fell in love and they got married. And Hector unfortunately gets killed in action, but when he does, unknown to him, his wife is pregnant with their unborn son Daniel. These characters are transported to the Sandman's dreaming, his non-corporeal place off the mortal plane. They're hiding out there. Lyta as herself, but Hector in a dreamlike state. His consciousness is there. So Daniel is basically born in the endless. So he's a child of either and neither place. And by the end of Sandman, Morpheus forfeits his life, yet passes down his mantle to a legacy. And Daniel becomes the new Sandman. And it's a really interesting story if you follow Sandman out until its very end. And all of this started in the Golden Age. And we've been talking about the Golden Age of DC Comics, and we're going to talk about comic books every day for the rest of the year. So tune in tomorrow, 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern, and we'll find out who we're talking about when we turn the page tomorrow. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe. We would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. We talk about spirituality and purpose. We talk about cooking. We see bunnies eating their breakfast, and I point out planets in the pre-dawn sky. Come aboard. There's plenty of room for everyone. Turn on the notifications. Ring that bell. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. And we will see you again tomorrow in the funny pages. Ciao. Bye-bye.